Hey guys, so I've decided I'll try to make an easy to follow tutorial on how to set up your computer to be able to program in your own simple low level programming language. I think the most important thing here is to do it on an operating system on which it's as easy as possible to call the familiar C library functions from assembly. And to me it seems like the best operating system in that regard is Windows. Now, as you certainly know, you can't legally use Windows for free. However, there is a free operating system which aims to be compatible with earlier versions of Windows. It's called ReactOS. It's also open source. The current version aims to be compatible with Windows 2000. Yeah, you can't really expect modern software to run well on it. So, as some of you might know, I've made a compiler for my own simple programming language called Arithmetic Expression Compiler, or AEC. I'll show you how to set it up on ReactOS. This is a very simple compiler. It's only around 2000 lines of code. It doesn't have any kind of IDE, and let's face it, all the compiled programming languages start that way. So first you need to download and install some virtualization software. I recommend Oracle VirtualBox primarily because I simply like Oracle software. My primary operating system is Oracle Linux. I'd also recommend you to install FreeDOS on the same disk as ReactOS, because ReactOS often crashes and corrupts the hard drive, and ReactOS generally can't run on a corrupt hard drive while FreeDOS can, so that you can use it to save the data. So you need to download the ISO images of FreeDOS and ReactOS from the internet. In any case, don't expect to be able to run all the DOS software on FreeDOS in VirtualBox. VirtualBox doesn't aim to emulate archaic hardware. No DOS game that I've tried is able to play sound in VirtualBox, and most of them don't even run. So much so that FreeDOS won't even install without tweaking. Namely, FreeDOS by default tries to use some archaic form of hardware acceleration when installing, and an attempt to use that hardware acceleration on modern computers as well as in VirtualBox leads to the processor basically getting into an infinite loop, firing the illegal instruction interrupt, and the only way to get out of that is to restart the computer. However, there's a simple solution. When beginning to install VirtualBox, press TAB button and then modify the command given there by adding the RAW argument to it. I'll show you that, bear with me. I've made a few such mistakes while making this video. I am sorry about it, but I don't have the time to try to make that video countless times so that it be without those little mistakes. I don't know what will happen if I disable FAT32, so I'm going to stay on the safe side and enable it. Once you have installed ReactOS, you should probably install its drivers for VirtualBox. They enable you to, for example, change the resolution of the virtual screen on the fly, and they enable you to share files between ReactOS and the operating system running directly on your computer. In my case, that's Oracle Linux. So in order to be able to download programs from the web into ReactOS, you need to install some web browser onto ReactOS. Remember, ReactOS is compatible with Windows 2000, so modern web browsers don't work on it. Generally, they crash when they should start loading the home page. The most important thing for a web browser here is that it supports the newer versions of the HTTPS protocol. Otherwise, you will get the can't connect to the server error when attempting to access GitHub. That's in this case way more important than how much JavaScript or CSS it supports. In my experience, the K million browser is the best in this case. Since, like I've said, the compiler I've made is very simple, it doesn't translate from AEC, my programming language, into machine code. It only translates it into flat assembler compatible assembly. So you need to download flat assembler and assembly language compiler in order to be able to use my compiler. Apparently I set the screen resolution to be too low. Nevertheless, since I installed the VirtualBox guest additions to ReactOS, I can now change the resolution of the virtual screen simply by resizing the VirtualBox window. So in order to be able to compile duct tape, the framework on which my compiler is based, you need to have a C compiler. TDM GCC appears to be the only well-known compiler for C and C++ that works reasonably well on ReactOS. That is, it apparently can compile code without problems. Nevertheless, the debugger crashes when you try to run it. The newest version of MINGW, otherwise a much better compiler, crashes in the late stages of installation. So this is finally a program written in my own programming language, one about the permutations running on React OS. So for writing computer code on React OS, I usually use Notepad++. The developer has recently changed its website and apparently K-Million browser crashes when trying to execute JavaScript on that new website. So I have downloaded Notepad++ using Firefox on Linux into my documents and then shared the my documents folder between Linux and React OS. The latest version of Notepad++ doesn't run perfectly on React OS, but it's still usable. What irritates me the most is that it sometimes fails to close normally. And this is the source code of that program about the permutations written in my own programming language, syntax highlighted. Not really related to the topic, but I'll also show you how you can run some Java programs you have made, how you can run them on React OS.